So the first thing we're talking about is feints as a general concept. Now, if you want to talk about feints, by the very nature of feints themselves, you're showing or threatening an attack at a specific location so that you can get a response out of them and then attack another location they aren't prepared to defend. So talking about your different targets is something that we have to do before we can talk about feinting. So there are high targets, deep targets, which are the head and the chest as far as thrusting and hewing. There are shallow targets, which I consider the hands on either side. And then there are low targets, which are basically the legs. So anytime you're feinting, you're changing one of these aspects. Oh, the other one is left and right. There's a left side and a right side. So you can change from the right side to the left side. You can change from a high target to a low target. You can change from a shallow target to a deep target. You can change from a deep target to a shallow target. But you have to change one of those aspects for feints to really do their thing. So the first one I'm going to talk about is one that comes up all the time very successfully. So if anyone has been doing any amount of fencing ever, they know that this hand right here is a prime target for something that you can get to very, very quickly and just try to snap a cut in and get out, or snap a cut in, parry, and then get out. Any of those. What people normally do to defend against that is they'll come over in this kind of simple parry is what we're referring to it as now, where your cross guard is flat out, the cut will land here, go straight to your cross guard, protects your hands. So if I just do that, then he defends with a simple parry. When he does that, it makes his arms move. Who'd have thunk it? When he moves his arm, what gets exposed is this right side right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to fake a cut into the left side shallow target, the hands, and we're going to change that into the right side to the hands. So what you do is you fake here, turn your hands over, cut to the hand, parry and get out. The footwork on this is gather simple. Well, actually, I guess the simple comes immediately as you start the cut. So you kind of gather, get into range, fake there, turn over, cut at the hand, and move to your left. What this looks like, we're fighting, and get out. Switch sides, we're fighting, fake to the hand, get out. So that's the first one we're going to be doing. The next one we're going to be doing is the one that the term Fehler comes from, and it basically means feint, but it's specific to a Zwerhaw. So everyone knows, not everyone knows actually, this is a Zwerhaw. You throw it with your thumb underneath at the head with the short edge. Canonically, if he attacks down at my head and I throw a Zwerhaw, it lands here on the strong, comes through to the head. So the Fehler, if they know the play, then what happens is, if they don't do anything and they attack at your head, you plow through and hit them in the face. If they know that, then they can do what's called falling on the sword, which is where he cuts down on my sword or just parries like that, either one, to protect himself. If I know that he's going to do that, then you can feint. You can say, I'm faking here, and then you throw a Zwerhaw on the other side. This happens very quickly, and it can be a very, very small motion. It can be as small as like you're here and then you go. All you need to do is move enough that they bite, that they believe you, they believe what you're selling. You're selling them the story of, I'm going to hit you right here in this spot unless you defend yourself. They defend yourself, and then they find out that that story you sold them was a lie. So, Fehler, boom. The footwork on this is a little bit different. Normally with the Zwerhaw, you take a passing step in. With this, you're kind of going here. And you're still, actually, I guess you are still taking a passing step there. So never mind, you do. You do the same footwork, but you have to twist across your body. So, boom, right there. And then there's the double Fehler. That's the third one we're going to do before we go to this. This is where you fake right, and then you fake left because they saw that that was coming. Then you go back to the right. So this one just looks like ha ha ha, which can really mess with your opponent's head. So this looks like boom, but it's all kind of one floating step, right? You're here, and as you're going, as you're moving through the air, you're not taking a separate step for each of these. All right, one more time, a little bit faster. Both sides. And move through. All right, so those are the first three that we're going to do. Find yourself a partner who's about the same reach. We're going to go from a hand snipe into a leg snipe. So we're going from a shallow target to a low target. So what this looks like is working on the same principle from before. If I fake at his hand and he goes over to defend it there, this position that he's in is not very threatening. He doesn't have great structure to cut at me, and he doesn't have his point on line. So that means that I have a moment. Also, he's thinking about defending. He's 100%, that's where his brain is. If someone is in that position, it means they're thinking, I don't want to be hit in my hand right here, right now, and that's where he is mentally. So that also means you have that second before their reaction time can come in to punish you. So with that said, you have to judge the opponent that you're fencing, whether or not they're the type of person who will actually defend themselves, or especially if they're new, sometimes someone sees someone attacking at them, and they just throw something at your face. So you can't feint against people who just throw stuff at your face and don't worry about defending themselves. You have to fight them in the knock, generally. So this is a class for fighting people who are concerned with their life and limb. Okay, so taking at the hand, they come over here, dropping low, aiming for the knee, and then coming up defending here. This is going from a shallow target to a low target, right? So ha, ha, and through and up. And then that's the defense, right? Because their sword is here, this is the angle that you have to worry about. So immediately after this cut, you bring up this L. This L of, if they land anywhere in this spot, you are safe, as long as your hands are in front of your face. So taking there, to the leg, driving up in. The other thing that you can do is sometimes when you go for the leg, people just move it, and that's what the book says to do. If someone swings at your leg, don't keep your leg there. There are ways that you can use your sword to parry down here, but you generally don't use that as like your plan A. Normally it's just like you swing at the leg. You can either go like that, move out of the way. Sometimes you can just move one leg out, depending on what it is, but just don't keep your leg there. This way your leg just die. With that said, you go here and they move their leg out, bring your point on line, and thrust into the deep target. That's going from a low target into a deep target on the same side. And you can chain all three together, but for right now we'll just do the leg. So, taking at the leg, they step back, wind up into ox, thrust. Through. Footwork on this is you get that simple lunge, getting deep to get to the leg. Oftentimes, if they're looking to counter this, they'll try to come straight down on top of your head. And that's why this thrust is so effective, because this ox into that right overhow response that a lot of people have just wins. You stab them, they hit your sword, end of fight. So again, here, going in swap sides. We're fighting, go for the leg, through into the thrust. You can chain all three together as well, and really discombobulate your opponent, right? So if I fake for the leg, he's like, oh god, my leg. Then you go for the, or sorry, I said leg, I meant hand. So you fake for the hand, he's like, oh god, my hand. Fake for the leg, he's like, oh god, my leg. Drive through into the thrust. So you went from a shallow target to a low target to a deep target, and they didn't know which one they were defending, right? They didn't know what they had to worry about because you were switching the targets. So, yeah, so those are the next two that I want us to do, and then we'll have one more after this, which is the harsh one. Instead of parrying up high and closing, what you can do is you can feint at this hand and throw a one-handed cut here, and then just void out like this for the counter attack. So you have one option where you fake at the hand, or sorry, yeah, fake it the hand, go for the leg, and then drive up to defend yourself. Fake it the hand, throw one cut in here, and then just get the hell out of dodge as your other option. Almost every other position that I'm fencing in, I want to keep a back bend type position. Sometimes I'll lean to the left, sometimes I'll lean to the right, but your back is pretty much always straight, or back bent, to where you're trying to keep your torso up while leaning forward. It's kind of interesting. But in Wechsel, it's the only guard that I find that I like to slouch my shoulders over and have the worst possible posture ever. Now the reason is your primary threat from Wechsel, if you're fighting someone, is you're looking for that hand right there. The best way to make the distance between your shoulder to his hand, which is the chain of your reach, is to have your shoulder at the same height as his hand. And one of the ways you can do that is by having terrible posture here. It also makes it to where you're actually a little bit smaller and you're a harder target, and then you just move around like this, like a freaking crazy frogman. But from this position, your primary threat is, go ahead and go to some sort of plow-like position for me, is you're looking for this cut on the outside to the hand. There are a couple other things you can do from this, like if they overcommit on the parry, like if he just parries, then you can dirge Wechsel and move into that thrust. And the other thing you can do is if you go to your Vom Tag, if they're in Vom Tag, it is a little less safe to go for the hand, because even if you do get the hand, they come straight down and whack you on your hand. But you can do a Zwerhaw here, which is you take this, you turn it over, and you bop straight over the top of the head like that. Normally your Zwerhaw will be from this position, but you can also do it from this position. Both are equally valid and both are really, really good, except for most people aren't used to fighting against it from this position. So we're going to turn that into a feint, because what people normally do to defend against the Zwerhaw in this position is they really overcommit to a high parry right here, because it's really hard to defend against the Zwerhaw from this position, because it has so much reach, it has a lot of power, and it wants to come down over the top. If you have hands low, then it'll still reach over and boop you over the top of the head. So, because of that, committing high like that, it opens up that right arm again. The footwork on this is very strange, and it's a little bit different than all other footwork because it's kind of I call it a falling step. You're stealing a step with an outside left step when you turn over into a left overhand. So what this looks like is you're going for this, and you abort right here. You drop your left hip, you turn your hands over, you go for this cut, and you fall to your left, basically. It's a weird dance move. And immediately after this, you can also get your sword up in front of your face. So, slow motion, you're coming over, turn over. And I can't even do it very well in slow motion because you literally fall into that step. I cannot support myself there because there is no support to be had. Yeah, all right. So, a little bit faster. Through, top sides. Slow motion again. Gather, simple, turn over, hands, parry. A little bit faster. Okay. And then a little bit faster again. And you're out. All right, we're gonna try to do that. It will be difficult, but it is good. Give it a shot.